So Vale obviously is one of the world's largest producers of iron ore. They produce over 300 million tons of iron ore per annum, and they have a market cap over $40 billion. They're also the dominant force in the high-grade iron ore market, and that's specifically the market that we're targeting. In terms of their footprint in Canada, they have over 6,000 employees in Newfoundland, Labrador, following the acquisition in 2009 of Inco. So they provide us with a lot of support operationally in Canada. But the most important aspect of this is Vale has the balance sheet to support the development of a project of this scale. And we're talking of a capex which is no less than $3 billion, and depending on the operating scenario, it could go up to $10 billion. So there are only very few companies in the world who can actually credibly develop a project of that size. So it's important to understand that the MOU is actually two phases. So phase one is actually Vale earning the right to proceed to phase two, an exclusive right, but they don't actually earn any equity in phase one. And so the priorities in phase one are de-risking the project for Vale, and there are three parts to that. One is the pre-feasibility study, which expands on the engineering work that we've already done. Two is baseline environmental work and some initial impact assessments. And three is some additional resource drilling. I'd argue that the third part is extremely low risk given the size of the resource, but fundamentally what Vale is seeking is a confirmation of the economic strength of the project. So we're very fortunate in that we have a very large, very clean magnetite resource. What I mean by very clean is very low levels of deleterious elements. And that enables us to produce a very high quality direct reduction concentrate, which grades typically 71.3% Fe and 1.1% silica, so extremely clean and virtually nothing else, no alumina, nothing. And that enables us to produce direct reduction pellets. Now, direct reduction pellets are the necessary feed for direct reduction steelmaking, which has roughly half the carbon footprint of the conventional blast furnace-based steelmaking. And that market is increasing very rapidly. So in 2023, the direct reduction pellet market was roughly 160 million tons, give or take, and it's anticipated to grow to about 210 million tons by 2030. So a large increase, a great opportunity for us. Very few producers in the world can produce this type of material. There's basically three. And on top of that, these pellets get very high premiums. So we're talking about 70 USD per ton premium above the 62% Fe benchmark that most people refer to and sits currently around $101 per ton. Iron ore plays are fundamentally infrastructure plays. So we're very fortunate to be 25 km away from a heavy haul rail, which is open access, which runs all the way down to 3 deep sea ports, one of which, Point Noir, we're targeting, and has over 50 million tons of iron ore export capacity that we could tap into, but also has substantial expansion capacity. But our secret trump card is actually the power. So we're 75 km away from the mini-HEC hydropower plant. This gives us potentially access to cheap hydropower, renewable hydropower, which means very low carbon and low cost production of concentrates, because the main cost when you have a magnetite product is actually grinding. So that cheap power is key. Obviously we'll need to expand mini-HEC, and we're doing studies to work out how much that would cost, but that is a really key advantage. So Iron Bear is one of these projects that has a pathway to production which is clear, and that's one of the reasons why large organizations like Vale and others have showed an interest in us. The next big milestone for us is obviously closing this MOU and completing the final agreements with Vale. We have 90 days to do that. I'm fairly confident that we will achieve this because we have a really detailed MOU. So we've actually worked through a lot of the key issues. Beyond that, you can look forward to our scoping study being published with all the various economic numbers, with the various premiums. I think that will be very exciting. And we are in parallel working on our environmental baseline studies, and we'll be focusing on some very innovative solutions to make this operation sustainable. Things like dry tailings, will be working on that, so there are no tailings dam, which is really part of this concept of sustainable mining of the future.